Welcome back to the Pulse on the JoyNews channel on Multi TV. Now, it has been weeks of talk about one man, Alfred Woyome, the businessman who has been asked to refund some 51 million Ghana cedis. The talking point has also been about what we are to expect this week on Thursday at the Supreme Court when the former Attorney General Martin Amidu will examine him there. But ahead of that, questions have been raised, and he's had cause to raise some other issues to do with the manner in which he feels he's being persecuted by the Supreme Court and also by certain individuals, including Mr. Amidu. More of that and an interview with him, in depth with him in the studio in just a moment. But let's just remind ourselves of how we got to this point. He has become public enemy number one, or if you like, famous for one reason. He benefited from a 51 million cedi judgment debt, which the court says he did not deserve. It's how that money was paid that is now generating controversy. Mr. Woyome himself has had to battle it out in and out of the court.
Martin has a problem. If he wants to challenge me and everything, he should go to court immediately, and we will ask the court to call the appropriate authorities so that we bring that in and discuss it, because I'm not the one going to discuss it. So Martin is being used by unseen forces as a weapon against innocent people and people who are doing very well, including the President of the Republic of Ghana, and seeking re-election. And he using it. In fact, those using Martin are using him against himself. Sometimes that's why sometimes I feel restrained to either sue him for defamation.
The President of this Republic, any day, instructed the Attorney General to discontinue this case. When you issue a public statement accusing the President of any country that he instructed his Attorney General not to pursue this matter because Woyome was blackmailing him.
Today, it's become an albatross for the NDC administration, with opposition elements capitalizing on the turn of events in the judgment debt debacle.
We're calling on Ghanaians to stand up and demand that the government retrieves our monies for us. The 51.2 million in 2010-2011 today is worth about 130 million Ghana cedis.
On Thursday, he will appear before judges at the Supreme Court, where his fiercest critic, Martin Amidu, the former Attorney General under whose tenure part of that money was paid, will examine Mr. Woyome on the whereabouts of the 51 million cedis he received from the state in judgment debt. Ahead of that encounter in court on Thursday, Mr. Woyome speaks to the Pulse here on the JoyNews channel, Multi TV. One big question: where is the money? So that's just to remind ourselves of where we've come from with this particular story. And Mr. Alfred Woyome is with us in the studio now. Mr. Woyome, thank you for coming today.
Thank you, my brother.
Okay. I've got to ask this, and I asked you this before. Do you sleep well at night?
Can't you see me?
Well, I see you here, but I don't know if you sleep well at night.
Why not? Why should I not? Why shouldn't I sleep? One, I'm a great Christian. I'm a Pentecostal. I believe in Christ, and I believe in the power of prayer. I love my God, and I trust my God. You don't enter into anything if it is not permitted so. So the strength and ability to withstand it has come from Christ Jesus.
Now, I mean, a couple of things you've mentioned in the past that
let me continue. A lot of the leading pastors of this country and across board in West Africa have worked with me, continue to work with me, and some of them contribute even to help me in various things and help me in feeding and prayer. Have helped in building churches and other things all around. Since I returned to Ghana in 1999, for my faith is big. So I stand here confidently because Christ has enabled me to be here. There is time for everything, and this time that I'm sitting here is ordained, and I'm going to speak to my people,
okay,
the countrymen, about it.
Okay. Now, A number of things to clear out based on what we've heard in the past week. This is a story we've seen for what, 6 to 7 years already. There's been talk about it from the last election up until now.
Well, it depends on which of the events you are talking about. The events from the court, the events of the so-called arrest, where your cameramen were there, and for me, it was a failed assassination attempt. That, I don't want to dwell on that, because at the end, I'm writing a book, and you get to know, you will marvel. So, that arrest, leading to now, it's about 5 years and over. But events about the actual incident started since 2003, and then 2004. And we're going on and up and down. And by 2005, a conflict has started. A contractual conflict has started.
How did that conflict arise?
It arose when the President of the Republic, then, President Ajekun Kufuor, my respect to him. I know that if he's listening to me now, I have worked with him on a country-to-country basis, because I was the Vice Honorary Consul of Austria to Ghana. With a hindsight, I think you might have seen that maybe they went too heavy-handed in doing this. But as a president, what I've come to know in Africa, and especially Ghana here, and then at my very privileged, peculiar position as Vice Honorary Consul, it's a very, very daunting job. Pressures are from everywhere, and we have elected our president, they represent our soul. So they do a mistake. So I thought that the best way to do is negotiating, so we started negotiation on those periods.
You said they made a mistake.
It's a big mistake that the president made.
What mistake was that?
You see, you yourself strengthen the procurement law, and then you refuse to go by its tenets. You understand? And because of law, people are fortifying that, and they are able to spend money. They spend money because they know that the law backs them. Okay, so when that law, yourself, especially the highest body of government, cabinet, go on a single issue like that, when the minister responsible for such a job tells you that, look, what are you going to do? The repercussion is going to be big. Do not do it. And the minister had courage to write it in a cabinet memo, recounting in that memo, when they came to you to have a meeting with the deputy minister with that, and when you also instructed one Kofi Annan, the then LOC
committee chair,
to instruct that minister to cancel a legally completed thing, because Mr. President says, I have got a company in China, and that in his position as president, he thinks that Ghana was going to save money. You understand? And the minister refused to take instruction from an LOC person. And now you call the deputy minister, you had discussion, they also told you. Then you call the minister, and he told you. And the minister recounts this in the cabinet memo and tell you that they've completed it, and by law, it's contract in the cabinet memo. And then he also suggests that if you want to do what you want to do, if you do it, then they have to set up forces, the word is forces, in Ghana and internationally to defend the illegality. So it's premeditated, and then it is done. Yao Osafumafo, who happened to be that minister, was also in court with us, and you were covering it. And I think Joy FM, what I'm saying is also in a court records. Everything I see over here, if anybody at any side of the divide, NDC, MPP, think what I'm saying is not truth, they should come out and debunk it. I have talked since 3 consecutive times. I have spoken on issues, and I have lay the bare facts to Ghanaians as it's unfolding, because there are more stories.
Continue. I'm sure that for those watching, they will know.
They are dwelling on the peripheries. They are not saying that what we are saying is not true, because everything is documentary. I have stood on my ground, and I am fighting for the law. I'm fighting for the ordinary Ghanaian. I'm fighting for the businessman. And I think that any other Ghanaian who are outside, who normally come, we are invited them to come and help here, I'm also fighting for them.
Okay, so just so I know let
me.
I guess just so I know I'm following you in this.
Because in even your advert now, there are a lot of things that are inside that sometimes I can say that some are prejudicial, some are contempt, and some you can file a lawsuit on it, and I'm sitting here and you are playing it. You know, it is not about me alone. It's about a larger family. The name Woyome is not by me. The name Woyome has many, many people, enough, a big family, more than 10,000. Okay. Little children, they go to school. People taunt them and things like that. For what they've not done, for what I have not done. I didn't go to the previous government that give me something. I was in my consulate because of government. Then, and this particular one, Honorable Osekoku, may his soul rest in peace. He's a wonderful chap. He's my brother. He was my brother. From the first Minister for Youth and Sport. He came and he discussed with me, what can we do about the youth? Because you have done this, you have done that, you have done that with Safumafu, which they have all paid me, so he knows it. The track record was there. And we come to with this grand idea. And I challenge any one of them, anybody, that can 2008, we had Rashid Bawa, who made sure that they won it. Rex Dankwa, who made sure they won it. Because it was the only channel for which Ghana could have borrowed when we were so epic. And then, as a countryman, you let him to do a lot of things, set up offices abroad, many places, which they are all called records. So I don't want to waste the listeners' time, but to say the core issue. The core issue is that I was led into this.
By who?
By the previous government.
So by extension, you mean by former President Kufuor?
You see, he happened to be the president.
Okay.
If the ministers are there to execute their duty, constitutionally mandated duty, and they go and tell A, B, C that they should work, at the end of it, they go to cabinet to discuss it. That's where presidents prefer come in. You see, it will be unfair for me here to ever say that President Kufuor is responsible. This decision, although he was, by the cabinet memo and by all things that I witnessed, you see, when Kofi Annan was going to China, asked him, I called him on the airport. I said, Kofi, where you are going one day, it will become an issue. I called him. I called Honorable Yasafumofu too. They went to China. They met Shanghai Group. Now, Martin Amidu has that document of Shanghai. Shanghai was not sent to Parliament. Why didn't Martin Amidu send that the Shanghai issues to court to seek interpretation? Shanghai was not sent to. The document was there. It is the president who saw it, and then there was an MOU which was signed by the ambassador of Ghana, and then Yasafumafu also signed portion or witness portion of it in China, when Chinese have not been there. And they told Ghanaians that it will be cheaper. But on record now, what the Chinese have used is far more expensive than the bid they abrogated. That's number one. Number two, where did they get the money from? There was a cheaper money, 1.2 million in terms of commercial portion, and there was the free grant aspect, which is about 32% in addition, which would have brought it 1.5 billion.
Okay.
But now, that money was the cheapest ever in any country south of the Sahara. And it was supposed to be used to create sports tourism, Ghana as a sports tourism destination. The money that President Kufuor made them to go and collect in Barclays Bank, which that money actually I think was sent to Parliament. Okay, but the contract of the Chinese was not sent to Parliament. As to whether it was sole source, whatever it is, Parliament had nothing to do with it. To look at whether the price was okay or not. $100 million they took from Barclays Bank and financed the Chinese. Now, and then they took some also from the then merchant bank. I think about 15 million or something like that. They financed the Chinese. After financing this Chinese contract, that debt, this current government, the NDC government, came to pay it. The MD of Barclays Bank at that time, that MD, was sacked by Barclays International because of the nature of this loan, how it was done. It's also on record. So the issue about this matter is, it started from then. For me, when a government said we are working and they didn't, where was I? This is not the only contract they abrogated. They abrogated one with Vaytech that we do. That was a supply contract, which was signed by what's called Rashid Bawa. Then we went ahead. Then the Turkish group that I brought in were going to the court, international court. I called them in here. I negotiated with them, and I paid them. It's part of the court document that even we tendered. So the Turkish didn't take us to court to even stop the bid. You understand? That's what I did. Now, the LOC, they did not have money to even start the LOC because it was a suggestion from Honorable Osekuku, which was inherited by Rashid Bawa. I funded the LOC. They should pay me that they wouldn't. I went to court to get that money paid. Okay? Before they brought in the, what do you call it, the chairman and all that. And they've claimed all, they've done all claims and things like that. So the issue about that is, when after that we came, President Kufuor decided that this is the best way he felt he can steer the country through. What I did was, a lawyer came from London to write our protest and said that there is a conflict now and we will want our compensation because we have a concurrent approval. That letter too, we have put it on record. Then BNI came in, and Francis Puku's National Security came in. They all advised the previous government that we should be paid. In fact, it was not a change of government. There was continuous discussion before the government changed to NDC government. So I did not take advantage of a change government or whatever they've put into the people's mind and things like that. It's a simple contractual issue that was created by this. How it has turned to this, for me, sometimes I say that I marvel. But I know the truth is truth. So we will test it in court, and we have tested it in court for all this period. And where we are now,
I've heard you say that you will contest it with every pound of your blood. But let's not move on to the issues as we know it today. On Thursday, you head to court. Would you not? Would you be there on Thursday?
Why not? Who am I to say that the Supreme Court of my country say I should come to court and I wouldn't come? I'm a law-abiding citizen.
That's fine.
Let me correct one issue here. They are saying, Mr. Woyome say he will not pay. He will not pay. Show me the quote wherever I said I won't pay, or the letter I said I won't pay. Contrary to the fact, when the learned judges of the Supreme Court made that decision, I said, I don't agree with the decision, and that I'll pursue it everywhere. And I have served notice to the Attorney General. For the forum internationally that we are going, we've served them notice. Okay? But I said, whether you like it or not, the Supreme Court of Ghana has pronounced judgment. And if they have pronounced judgment, I have to obey the judgment.
Okay.
If I am a leader, maybe a position I'm a leader, I have to show that our country here, the laws here are being obeyed. I am a law-abiding person.
And you
I disagree. No, so I sent, immediately we sent to the Attorney General's office, and we sent a proposal of how I want to pay. Because my Supreme Court, you see, one thing people don't know is that I am a child of the judiciary. My great-grandfather worked in the judiciary. My grandfather was the registrar of WACA, West African Appeal Court, situated in Adam for those periods. My father worked as a bailiff and a lay magistrate.
Okay.
I have been fed in the court, transferred with the court, and I am a son and comfortable with the court.
That's fine.
And I know that's the only way. Politicians and other persons, when we have a problem, that's where to go. That's why I have this appellate system. You may be dissatisfied with a decision.
But you can
say it, and you
fine.
continue. But I went there, there's an attorney there. An attorney there said, we want to pay 8 million and spread the rest for 24 months. You understand me? We repeated it. They won't talk with us. Then I said, okay, my lawyers, what would we do? Let's go and repeat this in the Supreme Court, where the judgment came from, and serve them. And let's see what it is. We repeated it in the Supreme Court. Then the attorney came again and said, Ian Penny. So what would the learned judge do?
Okay.
So he said, okay,
before we even go into the details of the Ian Penny, let's just clear out some basic issues now.
Okay.
Where is the 51 million Ghana cedis?
The 51 million Ghana cedis is genuinely my money and the fruit of it, and I owe nobody. I owe nobody how I use my money, how it is paid. And I went to court.
But if the court said it was illegally paid to you,
it means the court never says so. I want you to correct this from now and check it well. Please ask your lawyers. The court said it was unconstitutional, not illegal.
You were asked to pay it back.
That's it.
That by extension means that money should not have gone to you.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. You should have to understand that. It is completely wrong. It's erroneous. Don't be, this country and the citizens have been bombarded with lies and truths and have hurt a lot of people along the way. Let this time around the truth come out. The point is that I went to a court, a competent court of jurisdiction, and that court gave me a fruit of my litigation. And that fruit was 103 million. Then the then government sit down, President Atami's government, sat down and said, look, let's negotiate these things. We negotiated. Now, they said, the money that is the expenditure you spent, I rather became something to prove to them what money was spent. You understand me? Some were from local banks here, and some were represented by one attorney in the United States representing some other people who did syndication and things. So we proved that one. And then they said to me that, look, Ghana didn't benefit from the money. I said, I understand that. You understand me? So your interest and lost profit and all that culminated into that, cut it off, which amounted to 54 million. So that's where we signed this agreement, signed by the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana, myself and my lawyers. We will send this thing back to court. And the court adopted it. After the court adopted it, then they say, Ian. So we started another litigation again. Why do you do that? So the court said, pay. Pay the first one, the first tranche. And when that money dropped, it went to pay my vendors. I hope you understand me.
And now, your vendors being who?
No, I won't discuss my vendors here. It is not improper. Was it legally paid? Yes, it was legally paid. It was not stolen. It was not done anything. It's something that stretched from Kufuor's period into Atami's period, and it was paid to me legally.
But 2 years ago,
the second
just to add, but just 2 years ago, the Supreme Court made it clear that this money should be refunded because it was illegally paid.
No.
2 years ago.
Let me explain some few further things to you. After that 17 million, which was paid before, subsequent payments were arrived at also legally. It was a pre-trial conference. All the lawyers who are speaking should understand that it's a pre-trial conference that we went where the judges were there. And they were there and settled. After that,
which judges were there?
Call it, why do I have to? It's court. The court.
So once it's public knowledge, you can tell us, can't you?
The documents are there. We are short time here, and then you have to learn how to read, journalists. You need to do a lot of more research so that the people you are supposed to inform, you inform them, and you don't cause this thing that has happened, don't cause it again to any Ghanaian. Because many people...
But again, if you mention things, I need details.
In the court,
my audience would want to know from you, as you said. You said that the judges were there.
Excuse me.
Which judges were there?
I'm saying that we did it in the courtroom. We have been in court, you have been covering them, and you choose the story you give them, and the story you not give them. You choose which one you should tell them, and what you don't tell them. And you have misled this country into hating an innocent man for nothing. It's wrong. There was a pre-trial conference. It's a legal language, which was in the court. So I won't mention an individual, because if a judge sits down in a court and a court pronounces, why do you go and mention the name of the judge? It's a court. And this is fact. I have stated that anything that is not wrong with it, let somebody come and tell me. So my lawyer was asked to send it to the Attorney General. The Attorney General passed it to Minister of Finance, and the other tranches were paid. Ironically, when this matter started, some politics came in, and an internal wrangling within the NDC came in, every other thing came in. It was Martin Amidu who headed the YOCO to do that, what do you call it, incomplete Yoko report, that interim report, which is concocted. Already aspect of it have been, we've won cases against it, aspect of it. So that Yoko report and my bank statements and everything happened to be with Martin Amidu. But before then, Martin paid the last tranche of money.
When was that?
Yes, I think I will show you, because
okay, so
I don't like
so
lies.
as Mr. Woyome is going through documents.
No,
it's
not going to
the
I'm coming
Joy
here.
News channel, Multi TV. We're also live on Joy 99.7 FM. Alfred Agbeshi, a businessman who will appear before the Supreme Court on Thursday. He's helping us to understand what he knows of this case and some other details he has for us today. So you were mentioning that Mr. Amidu paid some part of the money. When
this is a deposition that I made in the court, signed by me. This recent court now.
This was the 9th of November 2016.
Which was served on Martin Amidu. He didn't even counter it. And I'm telling him to tell the nation that on the 12th of September 2012, who was the Attorney General? 2011. Who was the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana? He was Martin Amidu. And the amount paid was 14 million, over 14 million paid as him as Attorney General. And that is it.
Let me show this to the camera, so for anyone who's watching, they can see it for themselves. So the point you're making with this is what? That
Martin Amidu was the Attorney General that paid portions of the money. Then, not only that, Martin Amidu approved the interest part of it, the interest on this amount, which also was allowed by the court. Now, Martin, this is Martin.
But the Attorney General does not make payment, does he?
If the Attorney General doesn't sanction the payment, the Ministry of Finance cannot do that. It's court issue.
It is the President that orders for payment to be done.
No, that is wrong. You see, we should respect our President. It is wrong. The President don't have anything to do with judiciary. He can't interfere. You understand me? The courts make this. It's the Attorney General who will.
But this payment had been agreed with the former Attorney General, Betty Modidrusu.
Okay, that is it. Let me tell you another thing here. When Martin came, this memo was his brief. This is 3rd November 2011. Okay?
And
this
what
one
was in the brief?
There were several other memos which my hand has not touched. But this one, my hand has touched it. Now, this memo, this is Martin's handwriting. Now,
how are we able to authenticate this and know that it's indeed?
But it has been, we have put it, it's in the court document. We tendered it.
Let me show this to the camera.
We tendered it. So it's not anything that we are concocting or anything. We tendered it.
And this memo said what?
This memo, let me explain.
I'm just showing it to our viewers so they can see.
Now, in this, they asked him several questions of this matter. He said, I did not assign the case to the attorneys, and I am not the one going to take them out of it take them out of it. I also did not authorize the trial of the case when they were challenging this payment. They weren't challenging this payment. So he's saying that he didn't authorize them to go and be challenging in the first place. That's his mindset. Okay. Then he said, attorneys should have known from the beginning they were uncomfortable handling the case and should have sought direction then. What the CA is saying, but what you say is that I do not intend to countermand my predecessor's instructions in the matter.
Let me just read all of this so our listeners and viewers can follow. This is the last page of the memorandum. Says, I did not assign this case to the attorneys, and I'm not the one going to take them out of it. I also did not authorize the trial of the case. Attorneys should have known from the beginning they were uncomfortable handling the case and should have sought directions then. What the CSA is saying at folio 16 in 2 must have been known to him before I assumed office on the 25th of January 2011 and cannot be an excuse. I do not intend to countermand my predecessors. Sorry, let me just read everything. I do not intend to countermand my predecessor's instructions in the matter and subsequent actions by attorneys. The writ dated the 28th of July 2010 was not filed upon my instructions, and it is not today that I am to be told those who filed the action think it is weak. This is a memorandum dated the 3rd of November to the Attorney General from the Solicitor General.
Yes. Are you understanding? I didn't want you to mention...
So which part of this memo puts Mr. Amidu in all of this?
Because the memo, he is saying that If he found something wrong with it, it is this very time, that he should have, as an Attorney General, started it. He said he cannot countermand the instruction of his predecessor, meaning that what had been done, he agrees with it, legally. Now, the next memo will show you.
Is that a statement of fact, or this is your interpretation of the memo?
But you've read it.
But reading it does not mean
you've read it.
I am interpreting it. I'm only reading what is in the document.
But this is not judgment or anything.
And sorry, bearing in mind that this memo is a part of a host of documents as part of this case.
It
cannot stand.
No, it stands on its own.
As one
This
document.
one is about the payment. It's about the payment. It stands on its own. The next one, the attorneys came again to him, and this is about a week or something after. Then they wanted to ask that our lawyers have brought in the interest payment as ordered by the court. Should they go ahead and pay the interest? Martin Amidu said yes, they should go ahead. This is his.
Sorry, let me just look at the document again.
Look at it.
This is memorandum from Solicitor General to the Solicitor General from CSA.
Okay,
the Attorney General versus Alfred Woyome.
It's okay. It's okay.
No, let me just go through it so that once you're providing this as a document for all of us to scrutinize, I guess you can allow me to do same. He says, I refer to the letter from Piasa Boadu and co solicitors for Mr. Woyome, dated 15 November 2011.
No. The case here, what I'm making my case, but not yet. Let me talk to what Martin.
But is it not information you're giving us?
Let me explain to you what Martin did here. What Martin did here is this. When they asked Martin, what do we do with the solicitors' interest payment that they have said? Martin said, as long as the matter is handled professionally, having regard to all the circumstances of the case, I will have no problem with the conclusions arrived at. Unfortunately for me, this thing was not paid because other events have overtaken it when the president has sacked him.
Let me see it.
Okay.
So the last part you make reference to is another page to it. It says Martin Amidu's writing minuted on a memorandum dated 17 November 2011. And 3SG, as long as the matter is handled professionally, having regard to all the circumstances of the case, I will have no problem with the conclusions arrived at. 21st of November 2011.
Okay.
So and no, but this is just the last page of the document.
That is the minutes.
The minutes.
I'll give it to you. So I'll give you.
Let me
just
read this so people who are watching and listening can also follow. Now, the detail of the memorandum states that we have informed by the Ministry of Finance that the principal amount due Mr. Woyome, amounting to some 51,283,480.59 Ghana cedis, had already been paid. What is outstanding is the interest on the said sum at the rate of Eurobor 1 year plus 3 points from September 2006 to April 2010 and cost. It is submitted that we meet with the solicitors of Mr. Woyome before the next court date of the 23rd of November 2011 to arrive at some form of settlement on the quantum of interest due.
Okay. Sir.
Okay.
Sir, because of the time, because there are issues here, Ghanaians are here. It's a short time. So I'll give you all this to scrutinize it.
So with all of this, sorry, just before you move on, how do you stick this on Mr. Amidu when you know that there was an initial agreement with the Attorney General who actually signed off for the payment to be done?
Number one, I cannot countermand his instruction, which means it's fine. Number two, interest has come to be paid on the same amount that you have gone to the Supreme Court to seek interpretation. You said that they can pay, so far they can do it professionally. Now, you, the same man, Martin Amidu, who have done all this, you now jump to the Supreme Court, seeking the Supreme Court for an interpretation on the action of the Attorney General, who were yourself. So if today...
But he had a new body of information after he left the Attorney General's office to pursue this matter. That was what we were made to understand, based on which the ruling was given 2 years ago.
That is not true, because Martin Amidu was the one who superintended over the Yoko detailed investigation and report. Martin Amidu, it was searched, and he searched with every documentation.
But he said he found a new body of evidence after he left office.
No. Martin Amidu knew that Waterville contract was 2006. Martin Amidu knew that I went to court on an issue of the contract arriving out of the bid of 2005, Martin Amidu knew that Waterville has sued on their contract and have been paid separately. And I am suing on my own, and I want them to pay, and they pay some. He knew it. Martin Amidu went and misled the Supreme Court, turning around and mixing the two and confusing the Supreme Court by saying that what's called flows from, how can 2005, which is what I've sued for, flow from another agreement that was signed a year after, in 2006? How can you link that? Because the thing that went to the Supreme Court, they didn't take evidence from me. It is a matter of law, whether it offended Article 181(5). That was a matter of law. So they argue on the matter of law. So the way the Supreme Court, the first time the Supreme Court came back and said, look, this thing should be, evidence should be taken in the lower courts, Datiba. Then later on, Martin filed for review. One way or the other, the learned judges said that the sun rule for somewhere and it illuminated on the contract, and now I was linked to it. That is the judgment. Read it. And then when they say,
are you not indicting the integrity of the judiciary?
No, I am not indicting the integrity. It's a judgment of the court, a judgment that indicts me, and I am commenting on that judgment. I am not commenting on any other thing. I am saying that it is within the right of the Supreme Court to arrive at their decision, which unfortunately I feel my rights have been trampled upon. Unfortunately, I feel that if I have been given the opportunity, properly said, for the case to run its right course, truth would have come. And the truth has come. So I am saying that I feel persecuted because of the incident, and the persecution was not caused by the Supreme Court by themselves. The persecution had been caused by Amidu misleading the Supreme Court. And Amidu didn't tell the Supreme Court that he paid this amount. Amidu didn't tell the Supreme Court. Amidu didn't tell. So the unconstitutional behavior of the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana is Amidu himself. It is not Marietta, who also sought to put me in jail. But to be fair with her, Marietta was not the Attorney General who ever did anything. It is Martin Amidu himself. Why do you...
Are you saying Martin Amidu signed off for you to get the money?
Martin
because
Amidu...
Because you said it's quite categorically
I am saying categorically
he did not sign off to pay off any money to you.
Who signed off? Nobody has signed off. Because if a court, the incidents that happened on the sign off has gone. We have gone to court. And after court has ordered a pay, and they've ordered again pay. Nobody signed off. The court has ordered the payment. It is not any individual in any government, both Kufuor or
the
Atami's government.
The court asked that they pay one tranche, but they paid all three.
I have already told you that the rest were arrived at in the same court called pre-trial conference, for which arrangement was agreed on. So it was also done legally, not illegally.
But
now,
let me correct you.
Sorry,
no.
I will also allow you, because if you don't want me to complete my question, for the people to understand.
No, but if you're making a point that I need to interject, I have the right to.
Okay.
Now, if the court said pay one tranche, and you're saying pre-trial conference had a different arrangement, does that not go to affect the first ruling that was given?
No.
The orders of the court were that pay the first tranche. Not everything.
No.
So how come the pre-trial conference moved into paying all the 51?
Because 5 years, these lies have been told, so it's very difficult for you to remove it from your mind. 5 years. They hear it from me, and it's on record, in court.
But the orders of the court were on record.
The orders of the court was also pre-trial conference. It's also the order. So that's the court. Nobody went to do that. And in fact, the initiation of how they should pay the rest came from a letter from my lawyer to the Attorney General, that this is what we arrive at the pre-trial conference, and this is what we must do. And they obeyed. So nothing was an illegality here. The reason why I have not spoken for 5 years is to respect the court. In fact, I will do everything in my life to defend this court. And I am trying to tell the court where I've been trained, where salaries of my parents and my grandparents came from. To say that Martin Amidu has taken advantage of the court system for his own peculiar reasons, deceive the court.
And what particular
particular
reasons may that be?
Well, we've not arrived there. We are also looking for it. When the time comes, because some of the issues are still running in court, and I will not talk about those things. As I have not spoken for 5 years, I'm speaking about cases that have been dealt with. That's what I'm dealing with.
Mr. Woyome, just answer this question for me.
I respect the court, and I will continue respecting it.
If for 5 years you haven't spoken, why are you speaking now?
Because the case of that issue have been done. And then now, here come another election time. Then my name, my family name, every other person, Martin go and jump on it. I didn't know that he belonged to the MPP. I didn't know.
Has he told you he's a member of the MPP?
If I should discuss Martin here, and I discuss other people here, it will be an explosive issue.
But you just said
But
that you did not know that Mr. Amidu is MPP. That is a statement to say that he is MPP. Where's the evidence for that?
He is working with the MPP.
You know that. Give me
I
the
know
evidence.
that for a fact.
Where's the evidence?
I won't talk about it now. They should
You
challenge
just said it right now.
I said you should challenge
I want the evidence. Where is the evidence?
You should challenge
Mr.
it.
Woyome? Sorry, Mr. Woyome, for you to say that someone is a member of a party,
Good.
you need to provide the evidence. Where is the evidence?
Not that he's a member of the party. I didn't say so.
You said he's working for the party.
I say working with. Working with.
So if he's working with the party, where is the evidence for that?
You see, unfortunately, it is this issue that we want to do, and I don't want it to be an extraneous issue.
But you just brought it in. I didn't.
Okay, I brought it in not because you asked me a question. Why should we be doing that? And that one is another issue that you want to talk to me. You asked me.
I didn't ask why he would do that to you. I didn't ask that.
You asked me.
I didn't ask that.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead.
So
the listeners want to know the story. They deserve to know the story.
And that is exactly why we're here, Mr. Woyome.
Aside and go to the story.
Okay, so now you're saying that the courts was clear. They said the orders of the courts was pay the first tranche. There was a pre-trial conference. You have explained here that the settlement arrangement had changed and that the monies were paid to.
And it's also part of court records.
Okay, that's fine. So 2 years ago, the Supreme Court says pay back all the money. How come you haven't paid the money?
I have told you. I told you that
you actually told us, and I do recall that you wrote to the court saying that you finished payments by December 2016.
I have tried all my possible best for us to arrive at an amicable way and a structured, civilized, legal way of repayment. When you go to your court and they said you owe, go and pay, you will sit down with the judgment creditor and come into some arrangement of how you want to pay. If the judgment creditor, the representative of the judgment creditor, does not want to even sit with you, to talk to you, we have filed that. It's also court record. We've attached that to the court. And we went back to the court, we said that, look, you said we should pay. But these people don't want to sit with that. At least we want to pay 8 million and structure the rest 24 months. The judgment creditor comes to the court and says that, no. Then you go, then the judgment creditor go behind you.
He says no with a condition or just straight no, we won't take it.
The court records are there, they won't take it. So what would the Supreme Court do? If the judgment creditor will not agree on your term, which they are refusing, and he doesn't want it to be adopted by the court, maybe he has some tricks under their sleeves. They thought, and I was telling them, is that Alfred Woyome's property here is incumbent. 5 years, I have never worked. Internationally, people are not working with me.
So how are you, so how are you supposed, if you were to go by that payment plan you are sent to the court, how are you going to pay that money?
That's where I'm going to come from. I have worked with a number of people. I've worked with a number of institutions, and there's a lot of local banks over here, other people here. Every other friend of mine is saying that, look, this is unfortunate, okay, in the financial market. If you bring a structured program to us, that this is the structure, we will help you. And there are a lot of people who want to help me. So in those meetings, I said, let's structure this, where my friends and other people, including pastors, churches, can you believe that, want to help you. Do you know my bail condition? There's a church building that they put there.
Okay, so these individuals were willing to pay the money for you.
Listen what that attorney did, so that the Ghanaians will understand that I am not a disobedient citizen that don't want to respect the court law. They frustrated my effort because I told them from my bosom, if I don't have a structured payment plan, I cannot pay.
But
then they went to behind me.
Just so we.
But you were in my house. When were you in my house? with
No,
your cameras?
I wasn't there.
JoyNews?
Yes, JoyNews came when the valuation was being
Not
done.
even then. Before then, there will be incidences. Go back, play your tapes.
That's fine.
There are a lot of incidences.
I've got to ask this: if you're saying that
the
people were willing to
they were
pay,
playing a theater. They were playing and fighting me. They wanted to show people that Afre is a bad man. Afre Woyome is not law-abiding.
Just answer this question for me here and now. You said that there are individuals who are ready to help you pay, but I asked earlier, if you had a 51 million Ghana cedis, why would you need other people to help you pay this money?
If I have the 51 million.
Sorry, the money was given to you. So I'm asking.
I think you are not.
Are you saying you don't have the 51 million?
I'm saying that I don't think you are doing listeners any good. Neither are you conducting this properly. What you want me to tell you is to say a statement so that I become your headline. And I'm refusing. I will not be bought into that. I want you to educate the people. That's what I've agreed over here. I won't. I have practiced this job. Look, call me a senior in it. I've done this job for a long time.
Okay.
So let's go the way I want you to go.
Sorry. This is actually an interview we agreed on. But there are questions I need answered, and that's why we agreed to this interview.
I have stated that.
So in that spirit, Mr. Woyome, I've got to ask, you said that there are individuals who are willing to pay you that money. But minutes ago, you mentioned that.
I said vendors.
Yes, vendors were willing to pay that money.
I said vendors, as the money, we agreed to pay the money. I forgo my interest and then lost profit and all that. And the money we agreed, the government agreed to pay, is to pay the vendors, which included local banks. What more do you want me to say? So the 51 million. So Martin Amidu knows where those monies have been. And he says with the same document. And you don't know where they know how the money was paid. Martin knows. Do you know how the money was paid? Do I know? Yes. If you tell me now to go about it documentary, I don't have those documents, but I know how the tranches were paid. I know the vendors and I know how it went. But I cannot sit here and tell you. When was the payment done? We are not in the court. It will be prejudicial. When we are in court, we talk about that. I won't talk about that here. The money that was paid to me was not illegal. At the time that it was paid to me, it was legal. At the time that it was expended and paid people who actual money it was legal. Okay. After the time that the Supreme Court came and said, refund the money, it became my burden. So if it became my burden, I said, let's structure it, and then I pay. So we are structuring and pay. And I've also served notice that I'm not leaving this case until we resolve it, until we all put pressure on Parliament to do the right thing about Article 181(5). They are supposed since 1992 to help the Supreme Court by defining it. When you define it properly, the Supreme Court will now, on that basis, do justice to me. Like, Article 181 is not meant for Ghanaians. I am not from, am I not a Ghanaian? Why is it being applied to me? It's because of the way Martin Amidu structured and misled the court. The court cannot jump over things and do something otherwise. So they have traced it, they say it is linked to that, it is an illegal contract, so because of that, the fruit of it is also an illegality. Well, it is a stretch idea. I felt that if they had considered me as a Ghanaian and protect my own right as a Ghanaian, they could have also stretched it another way and give me a good verdict. But here come, their verdict says that it is strict. So if Parliament had done this work, tomorrow, that judgment, my brother, that judgment is affecting you. It's that become a precedent. It's law. Okay. It's affecting every Ghanaian, including the judges themselves. Okay, I get that. You paid 4 million Ghana cedis to Yoko. Yeah. Not to Yoko. I never pay money to Yoko. So you paid to who? I pay money to the state. To the state. Where did you find the money to pay the 4 million? That is also not your business. No, because you just said that for 5 years you've not been working. Yes, of course. I have also told you that many people are everywhere saying that if I have a structured payment, do you know what happened? If you want the leader to know how that 4 million was paid, I'll tell you. Okay. Not about who brought it, about the circumstances. Let me tell you. We went down again after that attorney tried to sell properties, tried to disgrace me, some illegal. You have not gone to court for a court order. You went and wrote a letter to Lands Commission to come and value property, all kind of things. That attorney has misbehaved, and I don't know why she's still there. Now, you can't use state power and abuse it and disgrace us everywhere, including the state. It is not possible. Now, when you did all those ones, and now interpreters have come here and there, that this property are not yours, a stalemate. Mr. Woyome cannot move forward. I said, my lawyers, let us approach the AG herself. Let us do whatever he can. and a wonderful lawyer, a learned man, Anku,
Okay.
Lawyer Anku, managed...
Hold our thoughts for just a moment.
Okay.
You're still watching The Pulse on the JoyNews channel, Multi-TV. Our guest today is the businessman Alfred Woyome, explaining to us the details, even as we draw closer to Thursday when he appears before the Supreme Court. We'll go for a short break. When we come back, he will help us understand the circumstances under which he was able to pay 4 million Ghana cedis to the state recently. Details after the break. Stay with us.